This is cool. It's like attending a literary festival on Fast Forward. It's a privilege. This is a short chapter called Radio, and it's set in Germany in 1935 in a little coal town called Solferein in an orphanage. Werner is 8 years old and ferreting about in the refuse behind a storage shed when he discovers what looks like a large spool of thread. It consists of a wire-wrapped cylinder sandwiched between two discs of pine wood. 3 frayed electrical leads sprout from the top. One has a small earphone dangling from its end. Jutta, 6 years old with a round face and a mashed cumulus of white hair, crouches beside her brother. What is that? I think, Werner says, feeling as though some cupboard in the sky has just opened, we just found a radio. Until now, he has seen radios only in glimpses, a big cabinet wireless through the lace curtains of an official's house, a portable unit in a miner's dormitory. He has never touched one. He and Jutta smuggle the device back to Victoria Strasse number 3 and appraise it beneath an electric lamp. They wipe it clean, untangle the snarl of wires, wash mud out of the earphone. It does not work. Other children come and stand over them and marvel, then gradually lose interest and conclude it is hopeless. But Werner carries the receiver up to his attic dormer and studies it for hours. He disconnects everything that will disconnect. He lays its parts out on the floor and holds them one by one to the light. 3 weeks after finding the device, on a sun-gilded afternoon when perhaps every other child in Solferein is outdoors, he notices that its longest wire, a slender filament coiled hundreds of times around the central cylinder, has several small breaks in it. He unwraps the coil, carries the looped mess downstairs, and calls Jutta inside to hold the pieces for him while he splices the breaks. Then he rewraps it. Now let's try, he whispers, and presses the earphone against his ear and runs what he has decided must be the tuning pin back and forth along the coil. He hears a fizz of static. Then from somewhere deep inside the earpiece, a stream of consonants issues forth. Werner's heart pauses. The voice seems to echo in the architecture of his head. The sound fades as quickly as it came. He shifts the pin a quarter inch more static, another quarter inch, nothing. In the kitchen, Frau Elena kneads bread. Boys shout in the alley. Werner guides the tuning pin back and forth. Static, static. He is about to hand the earphone to Jutta when, clear and unblemished, about halfway down the dial, he hears the quick, drastic strikes of a bow dashing across the strings of a violin. He tries to hold the pin perfectly still. A second violin joins the first. Jutta drags herself closer. She watches her brother with outsized eyes. A piano chases the violins. More instruments join in. Flutes, harps. Werner? Jutta whispers. He blinks. He has to swallow back tears. The parlor looks the same as it always has. 2 cribs beneath 2 Latin crosses, dust floating in the open mouth of the stove, a dozen layers of paint peeling off the baseboards. Yet now there is music, as if inside his head an infinitesimal orchestra has stirred to life. The room seems to fall into a slow spin. His sister says his name more urgently, and he presses the earphone to her ear. Music, she says. The signal is weak enough that though the earphone is 6 inches away, he can't hear any trace of the song. But he watches his sister's face, motionless except for her eyelids. And in the kitchen, Frau Elena holds her flower-whitened hands in the air and cocks her head, studying him. And 2 older boys rush in and stop, sensing some change in the air. And the little radio with its 4 terminals and trailing aerial sits motionless on the floor between them all like a miracle.